Hello everyone, I am Engineer Kamran Khan and you are watching my YouTube channel Learners of Civil Engineering. Guys, today I will be discussing my second lecture with you guys, which is related with the subject of foundation engineering, and the title of the topic is bearing capacity and different modes of shear failures of soil. Now, what is bearing capacity of soil? Whenever we load soil systems, then the soil system may behave in different manners. First case will be the ideal case, in which the load of the structure will be properly taken by the subsoil. And the second case or the second cases will be problematic or complex. Like when we load soil, then the soil may fail in shear, or the soil may have settlements. The settlements may be total settlements, or the settlements may be differential settlements. The soil may have liquefaction phenomena and much more problems. Okay, so prior to loading soil systems, we must know the bearing power of soil. Okay, and this bearing power or bearing capacity of soil is basically the capacity or capability of the soil to take the load of the structures or anything which will rest on soil properly. Or bearing capacity is basically the maximum average contact pressure exerted by the foundation on the soil, which will not induce or produce any shear failure in the soil. So that is basically the meaning of the bearing capacity of soil. Now, why we are needing the bearing capacity of soil? As you guys know, the stability of our structures, of our foundation, depends upon the bearing capacity of the soil beneath the foundation. Like suppose if we will load the soil system where our structures more than the capacity of the soil to support the structures, then there will be a bearing capacity failure in the soil. So prior to construction, we must know about the bearing capacity of the soil, that how much is basically the capacity of the soil to bear the structural loads. Also, the stability of foundation depends upon the settlement of the soil beneath the foundation. For example, if the soil system will settle more than the allowable settlements, then it is also harmful for our structures. So these two things, the bearing capacity and the settlement analysis of the soil, should be done prior to start of construction. Now there are some basic definitions related with bearing capacity. The first one is ultimate bearing capacity, which is represented by QU. Now ultimate means peak value or maximum value or failure value. So that is basically the value of the bearing capacity of soil upon which the soil will be susceptible to shear failure. Okay, in which the soil can be easily failed in shear failure, because that is the maximum capacity or the maximum grasp pressure which the soil can hardly bear. Then the other term is net ultimate bearing capacity, which is represented by QNU. The net ultimate bearing capacity is basically the ultimate bearing capacity T of the soil minus gamma dF. Okay. Now what is gamma? Gamma is the unit weight of the soil, dF is the depth of foundation. Okay. So this will give us the surcharge pressure or overburden pressure. It is also called as the stress removed due to excavation. Okay. So in net ultimate bearing capacity, we are not taking into account the effect of overburden pressure, but in the ultimate bearing capacity we are taking into account the effect of overburden pressure as well. Then we are having net safe bearing capacity, which is represented with Q and S. Okay. So it is basically the net ultimate bearing capacity which has been reduced by adding some factors of safety like 2 to 3, which is basically the factor of safety taken against the shear failures of soil. So let's suppose if the original net ultimate bearing capacity was 2 ton per square foot and the factor of safety against shear failure has been taken as 2, so then the net safe bearing capacity or the net allowable bearing capacity will be how much? 1 ton per square foot. Always you should keep one thing in your mind, that we are not doing the design for the ultimate values, we are doing the design for the safe values or for the allowable values. Okay, because ultimate values represent peak values upon which the soil system will be susceptible to failures, and allowable values are those values of the ultimate which have been reduced by incorporating some factors of safety. Now gross safe bearing capacity, which is represented by QS. Okay, so it is again the net ultimate bearing capacity reduced by adding some factors of safety plus adding the effect of overburden pressure. So in this case we are basically reducing the ultimate bearing capacity by adding some factors of safety, but we are adding also the effect of overburden pressure. In net safe bearing capacity, we are not taking into account the effect of overburden pressure, but in gross safe bearing capacity we are taking into account the effect of overburden pressure as well. Now the last thing is net safe settlement pressure. Net safe settlement pressure is basically the net pressure which will be carried by the soil without exceeding allowable settlements. Now what are the different artificial methods for improving the bearing capacity of soil? The list is given down below. The first method is by increasing the depth of foundation, second by injecting chemicals, by cement grouting, by compacting the soil, by draining the subsoil water, and by confining the soil mass. So let us first discuss the improvement of bearing capacity via increasing the depth of foundation. So guys, at deeper depths, confinement of the soil increasing due to the weight of the overlying material, which increasing the density of the soil and also the stiffness of the soil at deeper depths, which increasing the bearing capacity of the soil. So as you move down inside the soil system, the confining weight or the confinement of the soil system increasing, which increases the bearing capacity of the soil by increasing the density and the. So as we move down inside the soil system, the confining weight of the soil due to the weight of the overlying materials increases, which increases the density and stiffness of the soil, which aids towards the bearing capacity of the soil. Then the second method of improving the bearing capacity of the soil is through injecting chemicals. This technique is done for the soft soil at deeper depths. In this case, we basically inject certain chemicals via pressure, like silicates of soda and calcium chloride inside the soil. These chemicals do what? They gets mixed with the soil particles and form a gel-like structures which develops a compact mass, and hence due to this technique the bearing capacity of the soil gets improved. You can also use liquid nitrogen, which basically freezing the soil, Portland cement, pozzolanic material and asphalt as such improvement techniques. Now the third method is cement grouting. This method is performed for the soft soils. In this method, we dug out different holes around the perimeter of the foundation at different depths. Once we achieve some strong strata, we stop the borehole and we inject the cement grout. This cement grout, after setting, achieves some good strength and the bearing capacity of the soil beneath the foundation increases. So this is a very good technology with the help of which we can increase the bearing capacity of the soil. Then the fourth method is by compacting the soil mass. Now, as you know that after compaction, the air voids reduces and the density of the soil gets improved, which reduces the potential of the soil for further settlements, and hence the bearing capacity of the soil will become better. Now the fifth is by draining the subsoil water. Because in the presence of water there will be seepage forces inside the soil which can induce the uplift pressure on our foundations. There will be effective stresses present inside the soil. In the presence of those stresses, the shear strength and the bearing capacity of the soil will also be reduced. So what we should do? We should just have to drain off the soil stratums just to improve the void ratio and hence the bearing capacity of the soil. Now how to check the drainage of the soil? For this, dig out 18-inch deep holes at several intervals in your desired plot and fill these holes with water. Let's suppose if water drains away within 1 hour, then the drainage is good. If water takes several hours to a day, then the drainage is fair. There is a poor drainage or high water table if water stays inside your plot for more than a day. So this is how you can check the drainage of your desired plot. So now the sixth case is confining the soil mass, which can also increases the bearing capacity of the soil. Sometimes we experiences settlements inside our structures because the particles experiences some lateral movements due to the low or poor confinement. So if the soil will not be confined, then there is a tendency of the soil to have a lateral movement. Okay, and this lateral movement can be minimized by confining our soil systems, like in this technique. This is a technique in which we have confined our slope, our soil, by constructing a wall of sheet pile around its perimeter. Okay, so this will create an enclosure and will thus confine our soil system, and hence the bearing capacity of our soil will be improved. So these are certain methods. With the help of those methods, we can definitely improve the bearing capacity of our desired soils. Now let us discuss the different modes of shear failures of soil. What is shear failure of soil? When the soil will experience shear forces more than its shear strength, then there will occur slippage of soil system, which will be known as the shear failure of soil. Weissach in 1973 basically gives us three categories of the shear failure of soil based on the type of soil and the location of foundation. The first one is general shear failure, second one is local shear failure, and third one is punching shear failure. Now general shear failure, it basically occurs in dense or stiff soil. Okay. Now what are the characteristics of general shear failure? General shear failure is characterized by a well-defined failure pattern consisting of a wedge, slip surfaces, and bulging or heaving of soil surface adjacent to the footing. Like you can see, this is our foundation, that is the ground surface before the failure in the initial condition. Okay. Now after general shear failure, it produces a pronounced wedge in this form beneath the foundation, and these slip surfaces which reaches to the ground surface, and this swelling or bulging of the soil around the foundation area. The second characteristic is that failure is accompanied by tilting of the footing. In this case, this foundation soil experiences this lateral twist and the foundation gets tilted in this manner. Failure is sudden and catastrophic. No, this failure will not give us any warning. Like you can see this load settlement curve, when this peak value will be achieved, then there will be a sudden collapse of the foundation, and there will be continuous settlement without any increase in further load. So that's why we can say that the failure load in this case is well defined. And the length of disturbance beyond the edge of footing is large. This disturbance are bulging or heaving in these slip surfaces, and which basically reaches to deeper depths down the foundation and laterally around the foundations. So these are the different characteristics of the general shear failure. Now let us discuss the local shear failure. Local shear failure occurs in medium dense or medium stiff soil, which is also known as firm soil. In this type of failure, the failure pattern consists of a wedge and slip surface, but is well defined only under the footing, which means that the failure will not reach to deeper depths like in the case of general shear failure, and slight bulging of soil surface occurs. Like you can see, that is the original surface. If you will compare this bulging with the bulging of the general shear failure, then this is very minute. Okay, and this failure pattern is only confined beneath the footing at fewer depths, not like the case of general shear failure. Failure is not sudden and there is no tilting of the footing. Okay, in this case the footing will be straight, it will not experience any tilting. Okay, but one thing is that the failure load in the local shear failure is not well defined. Like you can see this point, At this point, we assume that failure has been reached, but that is only the first point of the failure. After this, there will be a minor increase in load and the settlement will be more. After that, there will be minor increase in load, but the settlement will be more. So this settlement or failure completes in different jerks of settlement. Okay, so that's why we can say that the failure load in this case is not well defined, like in the case of general shear failure. Because of what? Because of the completion of failure in different jerks of settlement. Well defined peak of the P delta curve is absent. Now let us discuss the punching shear failure. Punching shear failure occurs in very loose and soft soil. In this, basically the loaded footing sinks into the soil like a punch. You can see this is the original surface. Now this foundation did what? It basically sunk inside the soil. Okay, in this case there will be no bulging, no lateral strains and no slip surfaces. Failure is characterized by very large settlement with no pronounced peak. Okay, in this case again the failure load will not be defined because of continuous settlements. Okay, so this will be categorized as the first failure load. Okay, after that again continuous settlement will be occurred and we will not be able to categorize any point as the peak failure load. In this case large vertical strains occurs with practically no lateral deformation. Like previously I have discussed with you that there will be no slip planes, no lateral strains, but there will be only vertical punching in this case. Now that is the pictorial comparison of the three types of failures, that is the general shear failure, more bulging, less bulging and no bulging. Okay, more depth, less depth and only a wedge type of punching. In this case the failure that basically represent the case of general shear failure, in which the failure load is defined and more as compared with the local shear failure and the punching shear failure. The local shear failure is the intermediate category and the punching shear failure is the inferior category, in which more settlements will occur at low. Now that is the further comparison of the general shear failure. Density condition for the general shear failure, the soil will be from dense to very dense state. Local shear failure occurs in medium dense soil and punching shear failure occurs in loose to very loose soil. Then the relative density of the soil in which the general shear failure will occur will be from 65 to 100%. For the local shear failure it will be from 35 to 65%, and for the punching shear failure it will be from 0 to 35%. SPT and blows for the general shear failure will be greater than 20, for the local will be 5 to 20, and for the punching shear failure will be less than 5. The consistency of the soil in which the general shear failure will occur will be from very stiff to hard. For the local will be medium to stiff, and for the punching shear failure will be soft to very soft. Now the underlying shear strength for the soil in the general shear failure will be greater than 2000 pounds per square foot or greater than 100 kilopascal. For the local shear failure, the strength will be 500 to 2000 pounds per square foot or 25 to 100 kilopascal. And in the punching shear failure, it will be less, like less than 500 pounds per square foot or less than 25%. So guys, that was all about bearing capacity and different modes of shear failures of soil. If you are having any question, you can ask in the comment section. Also like and share this video, subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you will not miss any future video. Thank you so much. God bless you.